Someone tell J.J. Abrams the mystery box is leaking. We got costumes and concepts and stuff leaking out there everywhere. And no, it wasn't Bob Iger, contrary to a phone call you may have heard recently. Welcome back, everybody. This is the Resistance Broadcast. I'm John Hoey. Thank you so much for joining us today on this wonderful Monday morning. We're here to knock out those Monday blues. Why? Because the base is open.
Yeah.
I'm going to keep on saying that because people say they like it. It's cheesy, but they like it. But anyway, guys, we have a great show for you today. We are going to talk about some leaks. So spoiler alert, episode 9 image leaks. Also saying farewell to Artoo, something about Benioff and Weiss, your questions, a rundown, poll results, a lot of good stuff. So let's just bring them in now. James, Lacey, guys, how are you? How you doing? How you been? What's going on?
Oh man, I'm having a pretty good week actually. I don't know. I'm feeling this podcast, man. Just everything that we're working on with Celebration, lots of stuff coming up, lots of good things happening. And I'm just feeling good about everything.
Have to do with your new haircut?
Is it new if it's the same hair that was there before?
That's an old man joke. Okay. Lacey, how you doing?
I'm great. Hey guys, how's it going? I'm ready to talk about some Star Wars. I just want to take a second to let everyone know that we had our first Patreon exclusive Admiral and General video chat last week, and it was awesome. So if you guys have any interest in chatting Star Wars with us, definitely do it. We talked for over an hour, and it was amazing. Yeah. Also, guys, do you know what tomorrow is?
Tuesday.
Do you know what is important about tomorrow?
Oh, my wife's birthday.
Yeah, that's it, actually.
Sure.
I do remember that now. I had that in my phone.
Yeah.
Cool. Thanks, guys. Really appreciate it.
Is that it?
It's my birthday.
Oh, well, Lacey, happy birthday Eve.
Send me all the Kylos.
Yes.
Oh, no.
Yes. You're wearing a Kylo shirt as we speak.
Yes.
And where can people find that shirt? tpublic.com. Okay.
Yes, it's
Actually,
our
you know
shirt.
what's funny, guys? If you go to TeePublic and type in Kylo Ren, it's like the first or second shirt that comes up.
This shirt. I don't want to... I feel weird showing it because it's like, look. But
Yeah. Yes, indeed. Guys, I'm excited to talk about the stuff today because we have a mix of all different types of stuff. And I love that in our news segment that's coming up. But first, guys, as always, poll results. All right. And this one got a lot of attention, as it always would with this type of topic. So we asked you guys, when the directed by J.J. Abrams credit pops up on screen after the last frame in episode 9, will Kylo Ren / Ben Solo be alive or dead? We gave you guys 3 choices.
Happy birthday to me.
Alive, dead, or left ambiguous. In other words, like, did he disappear? Where'd he go? We're not sure, that sort of thing. So the results are 15% of you out there said left. What's that, James?
I'm gone. You can't see me. I'm way behind this wall.
Is that what he's going to do?
I don't know. You said like he vanished, and it's like, I mean, I know what you mean, like in a serious, like dark, whatever storyline.
You can't see me.
Like, that's what I pictured. Like, so Kylo, you're right behind that box, and he's like, no, I'm not.
Oh, like Grandma's boy when he like hides behind his jacket.
Oh my gosh, I'm like crying.
Well, 15% of you guys voted for that. So,
you can't see me.
He just changes his voice. He's like, I'm Kylo Ren.
You can't see me. I did a lot of bad things and I don't feel good about it.
It just sounds like Mickey Mouse.
I've been waiting for this day for a long time. All right, so 15% of you guys said left ambiguous. 36% said dead.
How dare you?
49% of you said alive. So,
happy birthday to me.
Those are the results right now. I'm sure it's not exactly a scientific poll, but I'll leave it at that.
Yeah.
You're the one that put that poll up, bro.
I know. It got us, we had about 3,000 or so votes, I believe. So thank you everyone who participated. We appreciate that.
All it took was for me to retweet it with hashtag Save Ben Solo, and my friends came through.
Yes, it was all Lacey. That's right. Everything revolves around Lacey. Okay. Actually, I do have to say thanks to everyone who commented, because for the most part, people were polite and civil, and we're glad that we're keeping that type of vibe going, especially on a topic
people
like
checked
that.
in on me and blamed John for this poll.
I mean, what's wrong with the poll? It's not. I don't think there's anything wrong with the poll. Okay. Now, best comment went to Level the Force Palooza at the Force Palooza. So if you're having a festival, we're going to send James to your festival to play in his one-man band. He loves festivals. And they just simply said, alive and redeemed. So
I love this song.
I just wanted to ask Lacey, I did not know you had another Twitter account, but apparently you do, and you are the Force Palooza. So there you go.
This song real slaps. It's good.
Right.
What are you even talking about?
We don't even know, but let's move away from the polls. And James, it's time to move on to the Resistance Report. We got some cool stories to hop into. We actually have 4 or so why don't you take it away, man?
It's the Resistance.
All right, guys, this week we actually have a decent amount of news, or at least a decent amount of stories to talk about. Usually we're kind of scraping the bottom of the barrel for stuff, and then all of a sudden this week's it's like, whoa, like legit leaks,
Starting
and
to
like, where's the Benioff and Weiss story, and like, all this other thing, and we're getting like snippets of the books and stuff. It's just like there's a lot going on, it seems like, this week. Not to mention all like the people coming to Celebration and all the Celebration news. But this first story is a huge spoiler, right? To a degree. I mean, it depends on your level or definition of what you consider a spoiler, but you might want to fast forward a little bit. I can't give you an exact time. I don't know exactly how long we're going to be talking about this, but
to right there.
Yeah, we're done. All right, yeah. No, but this was something that popped up on Reddit, and there were some images. I would say maybe like 20 images or so off the top of my head, and they were character designs, costumes, makeup, what some of the actors' roles are going to be. So, like for instance, we saw Dominic Monaghan, we saw his likeness in one of these characters, right? So it's likely that's the type of character he's going to be. So this went out, and we even did a Patreon thing, because the news actually dropped while we were recording last week's episode. And it ended with us going like, hey, some stuff dropped, so let's talk about it. But now we're going to talk about it more on the official podcast, and we're going to say all spoilers are we're going to talk about it because we all saw them, and people want to hear what we have to say. So, Lacey, I'm going to jump to you first.
James, real quick though, just so people know that like there's no story reveals here, so it's not giving away plot stuff, so people can rest easy about that. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, theoretically, yeah. I mean,
it all
depends on what you decide is a spoiler. Yeah. Lacey, I'm going to jump to you because I was skeptical when I first looked at the photos. And then the more and more we dove into like the details of like, well, here's why it's legit. I kind of came around, but Lacey, you were first to like jump on. You're like, this is a legit leak. These are real. You want to talk about them?
Yeah, I have, when we talked about this, I had mentioned this, that I have all the art books from like The Force Awakens and Solo and The Last Jedi, and all of those books have these types of drawings in them of characters in their first costumes, characters, how they're going to change. This is where the infamous bald Kylo Ren thing came from, where it was a picture of Kylo Ren bald that people were like, oh, this was a concept. These images, guys, look pretty legit to me. I mean, they look like they were taking off possibly an Art of Episode 9 book that they're trying to pull together, with different costumes for characters and designs for new aliens and stuff like that. A lot of it matched up with some of the leaks and rumors that we've talked about here, like Kylo Ren having his mask back on and it being stitched up with red. It was just so much crazy detail that I wouldn't put it past someone to make all this up. But like John said, it was really hard for anybody to look at these and say, oh yeah, some guy made this, in Photoshop, because the way they were pictures of them were like at really weird angles. And one of the pictures of the kind of the Admiral Akbar type, the Mon Calamari character, had what looked like some type of color test sheet in front of him. Right. So it's really hard not to think these are true.
Okay.
Yeah.
I got a follow-up for you, though.
Sure.
Okay, so they're 100% legitimate. They came from the set. They came from behind the scenes, right?
Sure.
What are the chances that these are from like designs that they didn't go with? Like, so they came up with like 10 ideas of this alien or something like that, and it ends up, or better yet, there's a droid there that's supposed to be like another new cool droid for episode 9.
We call it the pizza cutter.
One of the what if that's one of the designs they didn't go with because this was just like, you know, an art of book. Like, this is a design we didn't go with, but it was one of the original whatevers. And that's not what we see in the movie. How likely are any of these going to be the official ones we see?
I think it's pretty likely, only because the costume that Poe is wearing in these drawings, in this concept art, is the exact same outfit he's wearing in the grass photos that we saw back in the fall with him and John Boyega. And people are like, oh, well, he has a scarf. Yeah, the scarf is tied around his arm in the photos. So that's is the actual costume that Poe's wearing. So that's why I'm leaning towards this, with the understanding that John's about to say this, but you know, you have to take it with a grain of salt, because sometimes people take what we do know and try to bait you into other things. But guys, I'm telling you, I said this the other night, I think these are like 95% real.
All right, John, should people take these with a grain of salt? Are people trying to bait you into believing these things?
I hate the grain of salt. I hate it so much.
Oh, you hate that saying? I'm sorry.
No, you can say it. I just think it's funny that, like, it's fun. Anytime anyone posts a rumor on an article, the phrase grain of salt will be in that article.
Oh, I didn't even realize. No, it's just like one of those sayings. What's another saying that you would use, though?
Pinch of cinnamon.
That's it. Pinch of cinnamon. That's what we're using now. Hashtag pinch of cinnamon.
No, you know, we joked when we did our immediate reaction because it was just so raw, but like having looked at this a lot more now and like really thinking about it, it's possible this wasn't on set. It's possible this was somewhere else. It could have been even out of San Francisco. It could have been in a lot of places because it's just, you know, a sheet with images and that sort of thing. So that could have been easily passed around. Whereas, you know, you could be as locked down as you want on Pinewood, and it doesn't prevent something like this, apparently. So
it looked like a packet, honestly. If you're looking at the photos, the way the paper curved, it looked like a packet. I
joked. It looked like, I remember back when I was a kid, there were these things called color forms, and like you could buy them for your favorite cartoons and like peel them off and like place them on this board and make your own scene. That's what it reminded me of. But
yeah, they look like stickers.
Now, I was talking to some people about this, and they said it's quite possible, based on things they've heard about Galaxy's Edge, some of these things, costume-wise and character-wise, could very well fit that as well for what they had planned for that.
Like character appearances and stuff?
Right, but then you look at some things, like we said, the Kylo Ren with the mask, and Rey's new outfit, and Lando, and a lot of things that are clearly pointing to Episode 9. Now, I have some questions in terms of some of these things. One's a joke. Obviously, we have a young Mon Cala there. I'd like to make a joke and think that that's a son or daughter of Akbar.
That'd be amazing.
Almost like a redemption for Akbar. James hates that. That's the only reason why I bring that up. And then what's glaringly missing here is Finn and Kerry Russell and Matt Smith. So not only am I jumping on board with Lacey
and Mark Hamill
and Rose.
Luke, right. That Kerry Russell might be Knight of Ren. I think Matt Smith, maybe he's a Knight of Ren too, and they're trying to keep him in the dark.
I'm telling you, I think they both are.
We also don't know that they're not in those photos, because some of those characters have masks.
They could be one of the masked characters. That's very true. Although I hope they don't cover up Kerry Russell's face. She's absolutely beautiful. But anyway, the other thing I wanted to talk about, old species was always a problem with the new trilogy. People are complaining that they're not getting old, species of creatures and characters
like
and stuff like that.
Yeah. No, not Bothans.
Anything from Nemodians to whatever Greedo is. I can't even think off the top of my head, but all things we've seen in the original trilogy often that have just kind of disappeared, and that looks to be continuing because a lot of these creatures we're seeing here look new to me, aside from the Mon Cala. So I don't know what their goal is there, but it's all very interesting to me. I think they're legit. And I like the fact that we're seeing stuff. and it's not spoiling too much.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I kind of wish that it didn't happen, but it did happen, so it's fun to talk about.
Right.
I'm not a big fan of leaks. I don't like knowing when I'm not supposed to know. I usually would stick to the I only want to see the trailers, or I want to see the TV spots or the official released photos and things like that, because I know they have a plan for releasing this information slowly, and it always sucks to see when stuff gets out, and then it feels like I'm part of the problem if I'm talking about it. I don't know, if it's one of our listeners who snuck it out and then they're cool, right. I did it so that they can talk about it. It's that's crazy, and I don't necessarily think that's happening, but, it always is kind of writing that line of do we empower this type of behavior?
Mm-hmm.
Leaks are tricky.
What about the fact that, we've heard this a lot, that sometimes they leak stuff on purpose. And like James, you said, maybe some of this could be misleading. That's quite possible. Mm-hmm. I know there's rumors of JJ leaking stuff to catch leakers. I've heard,
which is super smart.
I've heard Disney is doing that across all platforms, including their sports, like ESPN. Some guy got canned because he got caught leaking stuff to a website. So
yeah, I mean, how crazy would it be if we find out later that they're oh, well, we'll give them post costumes because they already know what that looks like, but
and everything else,
all this other stuff, yeah,
right.
Grant, I can't think of his name.
Richard Grant.
Richard Grant, yeah. He's totally Resistance, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
and they put him in this other outfit to completely
or he's
throw
a
people
Bothan.
Off.
Maybe he's an alien.
Yeah. I mean, that would be really interesting because when the trailer does drop, the most surprised people would be the people at Celebration. You know what I mean? The people who are they know about that leak. They saw those images and they're I was blown away. And it immediately discredits all the websites that covered it, and stuff. It's
I do have to say,
it's
though,
crazy.
If these are real, whether they are or not, I do like the old school look of Richard E. Grant, especially his Richard E. pants. It's very.
I hate those pants.
I love Poe, and we've talked about that before. Because that picture came out earlier, but I love that Adventure Poe.
Adventure
Nathan
Poe.
Drake Poe.
That's what you've been calling him. Adventure Poe.
On our Patreon chat, and I hate that we keep plugging that, but I don't hate that. But I think Lacey said it reminded her of the Mummy. Or she said something about the Mummy.
Yeah. Brendan Fraser.
He looks like Brendan Fraser in the Mummy.
He does.
Yeah. Rick, whatever his name was.
It's because we were talking about how one of the rumors is that they go to find an artifact or something, and I was looks like he's looking for an artifact.
You had said that the bad guys and good guys team up at one point, and that's
Mummy,
what we were talking about. Right.
Or National Treasure.
And then I want to hear from our listeners because we kind of brawled about this, you two versus me. If you guys have looked at this photo, if you don't have it and want it, hit us up and we'll send it to you if it's still out there. But one of them is
the Carrie Russell thing?
What looks like Kylo Ren in a hood and robe with a lightsaber, and James and Lacey think that could be someone else and not Kylo Ren.
It just doesn't look so tall, tall enough to be Adam.
Right.
So here's my theory, right? Kylo Ren isn't going to go and glue his helmet back together, right? So what I'm thinking is all these leaks, when we see the helmet and we're like, oh, that's Kylo Ren's helmet, and it's got these red cracks in it and all that other stuff. That's Carrie Russell. That's the Carrie Russell character. They wear a similar outfit.
Do you think that JJ and Chris Terrio could possibly have a situation where they have a character take Kylo Ren's stuff and pose as him for some reason in this movie?
I mean, that would be nuts. It's possible, though, because Wilson Bethel pretended he was Daredevil in Daredevil.
So what if there's a Kylo Ren imposter in episode 9, and that's what this is?
That would be crazy.
I don't know.
I know we're speculating wildly here, but think about that.
Yeah. If in fact Carrie Russell does have some sort of connection to the Knights of Ren or the Beyond and all this other stuff too, the same way that Kylo did, it doesn't surprise me that the outfit might look similar. Now, I know that all the Knights of Ren seem to have like kind of distinct outfits, so why wouldn't she too? But we don't know how important she is. Maybe she's second in command and the top 2 tiers have similar outfits. I mean, I know it sounds kind of crazy because it's so clearly Kylo Ren, but at the same time, like, we don't know that, and she's not on this paper. Yeah.
Is it Philo Ren?
Okay.
Philo,
but
Pholo Ren.
Also,
or Kai
similarly
Ren.
to what James said, though.
Kai-Fo. F-A-U-X?
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Oh, I like that. I like the Kai-Fo Ren. Yes.
I digress.
She digresses for us.
So going back to what you guys just said, though, looking at the piece of paper, it's obviously hard to tell because the perspective is like all thrown off because they took this on a phone clearly and like blurred out the edges.
Probably my phone. I have an iPhone.
But at the same time, we did discuss this, and that the outfit that Kylo Ren Ahch character is wearing is very similar to Luke's in the marketing for The Last Jedi. That being said, when you look at the character, knowing that it's a little off, to me, it doesn't look like Adam's body type. And I know that people are immediately going to be like, what are you talking about? But it kind of doesn't, because he's super tall. And that guy is not super tall, and the shoulders are not right.
It could also be on a mannequin. It's also a squished photo.
But that's why I said, take this with a pinch of cinnamon, guys. Because
there she is. Yeah.
We know.
Hey, you guys want to talk about HBO?
Yeah, let's move on.
I don't want to talk about HBO.
Okay, well, we won't talk about it much.
Oh, okay.
But there is someone at HBO, a head, who was on a call that was talking about, hey, when are Benioff and Weiss coming back to do this other series? They're done with Game of Thrones, but they're going to be working on this other show. And we got this little bit of tidbit of information that almost seems like private information that probably shouldn't have been said, but he threw it out. He was just talking to someone. He was asked a question, and he's like, oh, well, we're not going to get them back until they're done with the Star Wars stuff, and it's probably going to be a while since they signed 3 movies or they were contracted for 3 movies.
Casual.
Everybody knows that, right? And it's just like we didn't know that.
Did he say 3 movies, or did he say the word trilogy?
He said trilogy. I'm pretty sure.
What's the difference?
There is no difference, but
well, it could be 3 independent stories or an arcing trilogy.
No, that's a good point. Okay, so the actual quote was, the delay has to do with the fact that they were offered 3 movies.
Oh.
The plot thickens. Fake Kylo's getting his own standalone movie.
Yep. I would love a Knights of Ren standalone movie, but that's just me.
As of now, it was announced officially that they would head a new series of films, and everybody's like, "What does that mean?" Normally, you just say trilogy, right? So, is series 2? Is it 4? Is it 5? What is this? And now hearing this wording, it's not necessarily trilogy. Maybe it is in fact like standalone stories. Like, hey, we're going to do this one, then this one, then this one, and we're going to make them connect within themselves. I don't know. There's a lot to be said about this. John, did you just now figure that out, that the exact wording wasn't trilogy?
Yeah, I don't know. But I thought he had said trilogy, but if it's 3 movies. But what I find interesting here is, he may have said this, but again, Disney and Lucasfilm never confirmed that, or they never said the word trilogy. They never said 3 movies. Their whole thing was series of films. And that makes me think like, well, let's see the precedent there. What else have they done? They did say with Rian Johnson would be a trilogy, so they went there. To me, series is more than 3, because you would say trilogy if it was 3. 2 is a pair of films. That's not a series
or a couple. Yeah,
right. So I'm thinking 3 and above. So I'm thinking more of like a Harry Potter, which was like 7. So they could be doing a big giant like chunk
Are
of
you
thing.
just now thinking about this, Lacey? We've had series of films for a long time. We've talked a lot about how this could be like the next Harry Potter.
Right, but I didn't think of this until now that they weren't. I just assumed they were doing a trilogy because Star Wars is trilogies.
That's what a lot of fans just immediately go to. So you have to hammer home, like, by not using the word trilogy. You have to say series of films, and then some people are like, oh, they're doing a series? And it's like, no. Not a TV series, a series of films.
Oh my God, 7 movies?
So
I'd be like 60.
Don't run with that. It just could be. Yeah.
I do think he may have misspoke though. So until Disney comes out and says, Benioff and Weiss are doing 5 movies, or whatever they say, I'm still going by series of films, and it's not necessarily 3.
What is the word for 5 films?
A pentagon.
Tetralogy? Tetra, I think.
Trilogy. A series. It's a series.
It's a series.
Yeah, I don't know. My thoughts here are it always falls back on like, okay, well, Felicity Jones was signed for 2 movies. Well, she was probably signed with 1 with the option of another, you know? They always have this thing, and this goes back to my music industry days. You would sign a record deal for 1 or 2 full-length films, contracted, that's it, and then they would give you options with like 3 options. So theoretically, you might, if the label wants you to hold on to that, if they want to hold on to you, they have you for 5, they give the right to take you up on those options. But if they don't like you, you don't have to do those 5 records with that label. They can drop you after that first one or the second one, right?
I think that's different.
No, okay, but what I'm saying is that there could be truth to both of these. So they have the intention of doing a series of films with these people, but they might be contracted for at least 3. So then somewhere in the wording that's like, oh, well, you know, they signed for, they're doing 3 films or whatever, but it could ultimately mean like, well, we're going to do 3, but like, we think this is going to work. So we want to breed the idea of doing more down the line. So it's almost like 3 movies with 2 options.
I think if these guys, so they're writing them, and producing them, they're not directing. That's how I understood this. So with that in mind, they could be done with their obligations once they finish creating the scripts and all that stuff, which makes me think that it's not going to be we'll give you 1 and see how it works. They're going to write a whole beginning and end to this series of films. That's their job.
Like
here.
a Joss Whedon who writes all his stuff for like multiple things at once. Yeah.
Right. So then it'll be up to Disney and Lucasfilm, Kathleen Kennedy, to employ, or whoever's in charge at that point, to employ directors to put these things into motion. Now, I'd be curious to think, like, if they were directing it, these 2 guys, because did they direct Game of Thrones?
They only directed like some seasons.
Like
I think they directed
season finales, probably
some of the stuff in the finales, and then I think some of the stuff in the first season. But for the most
part,
they
like oversaw stuff.
Because I was gonna say, if they were directing it, I could see this being shot all at once, type of thing. Especially if it was 3 movies, because they do like saving sets and stuff like that.
I stand by that. Lord of the Rings was great because they shot everything in one.
I agree. I'm not a big fan of those, but the continuity there is fantastic.
I think they should have done that with these Star Wars movies.
Imagine if we would have got that. Like, we're doing 3 Star Wars movies, 7, 8, and 9, and they're all being filmed at the same time. I mean, like,
and imagine them having to protect them and keep them safe from leaks for like 3 years.
Yeah, like before Force Awakens comes out, we're seeing stuff that could have potentially be for 9.
I know.
You know?
Yeah,
that's so wild.
You know what though?
It almost makes you think they're smarter.
It's a different time too.
It's sad though.
Yeah,
but they probably would have had Carrie in 9 then.
No, I'm saying with Lord of the Rings, they shot all these things, but the world wasn't what it is now.
Oh, absolutely.
No, yeah. Right. We're just talking about like how the difference are between
they would have had Carrie. Yeah.
I don't know, James.
Well, do you guys got it?
I was going to say, what do you think about? Do you think it's 3 films, or what do you think?
I don't know. The biggest part to me is the fact that they're not directing. I had kind of forgot that. I was just kind of under the impression that, hey, these were their babies. They've worked on this great television show for a long time, but now they're actually going to try to do feature film. And this is them stepping in. But you are kind of right. If I remember correctly, it was that they were producing.
This is where you're going to get the female directors in there, I think.
It could be. So
I'd love a Patty Jenkins.
My understanding of it. But it does kind of, it would surprise me if like that Lucasfilm wouldn't have learned something from all these other franchises that are like, we're going to do like so many movies, right? That very rarely does that work. The Marvel Cinematic World works, universe, and the Harry Potter movies worked, but very rarely. I mean, look at DC is like a massive property, Warner Brothers, right? And they can't seem to get it to work. Like, look.
I mean, Harry
Power
Potter
Rangers
has
movies.
its gripes, though.
They said, well, I understand, but I'm saying like, look at Power Rangers. They said we had 7 movies lined up, 7 Power Rangers movies, and the first one barely made money back. So it's like, how do you know that this stuff is going to work? I mean,
the hell wants to see 7 Power Rangers movies? It's like one for every part of the Voltron or whatever. It's like this movie's about the leg, and this movie's about the other leg.
I think they're just trying to get people excited, but like, but maybe this falls into that same category of maybe you guys are right. Like, hey, we announced the Rian Johnson trilogy. Maybe that doesn't happen. We match a series of films with Benioff and Weiss, and like maybe we're jumping the gun too much and giving them too many movies when we don't even know if the first one's going to work. You know, I don't know. I feel like the I'm just saying. I'm just playing her off. You guys want to talk about R2D2 though?
You know we have to. Why do you ask us if we want to?
We got it. Well, if we want to move on, R2D2 is officially wrapped on episode 9. We got this. Correct me if I'm wrong. It was a tweet, right? It's just a tweet from some of the operators and stuff, and they said, "Hey, it's been great."
The actor.
The actor, is we're officially done. I don't think there's a whole lot of news, but it's fun to talk about as each character kind of drops off that, hey, they're wrapped, we're getting closer to the end, tangibilization of the movie happening. But R2D2 specifically is interesting because it's kind of like Anthony Daniels. It's like there's a possibility this is the last time R2D2 is ever in front of the camera. So, and I know John's going to make John
no way
sad. I mean, I understand. I know, no way, but it's just, it's a possibility. It's the end of the Skywalker saga. Maybe they wrap on those droids. Maybe they pull away from the Galactic Civil War. You know, I don't know. What do you guys think? John, is this the end of the era? R2D2 done forever?
Only if...
C-3PO's dying, so they might as well kill off R2.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, only if they don't do like an episode 10 down the line, right? I do think they're going to put these guys in the attic for a little while. I don't think it's going to be Cameo City, especially they broke the mold with Solo. So they kept it going with Rogue One, so people kind of thought, oh, we have a Where's Waldo situation where we're always going to see these guys pop up in every film. And then Solo, they're like, nah, not happening. We'll throw Anthony Daniels in as a human somewhere here. And, you know, they probably made a nod to R2 somewhere, sort of. But I don't think they're going to be throwing them in unless they fit somewhere. So maybe if they do a Kenobi thing and there's a reason. No, actually, no, that'd be horrible if they showed them there. Yeah. I don't know. I don't think we're going to see them. They're going to put them away for a while, which means, you know, Anthony Daniels is... in his mid-70s now, that he might be all set unless he comes back and does a voice kind of like James Earl Jones did for Vader in Rogue One. But being in the suit, I think he may have taken off the suit for the final time. It's kind of sad to think about. And, you know, rest in peace, Kenny Baker. He's been gone for a while. And they kept R2 going with Jimmy V and obviously the robot effects teams and stuff. But it's definitely an end of an era to a certain extent. I mean, they moved on with Chewbacca without Peter Mayhew. Some of these characters can still keep going, but when you think about those names on the bottom of the credits, Anthony Daniels, Kenny Baker, Peter Mayhew, they're going to be fading away and changing over time. So it's definitely, without a doubt, no matter what happens, an end of an era. Kind of bittersweet.
So Lacey, what do you think? Is R2 done to?
Oh my God. First of all, how do you follow that? It was so genuine from John. I can't follow something like that. Do I think it's the end of them? No, I think they're evergreen. I don't think they're ever going to go away. They're, you know, when you think of Star Wars, if you were to ask people what they think about, they think of R2-D2 and Darth Vader and C-3PO and Han Solo. I guarantee those are the people that they generally like, and Luke Skywalker. Like, those are the 5 things they always think about.
Over 50% of what you just said are dead people.
I understand that, but I don't think that the robots are going to go anywhere. Or sorry, the droids. I don't think the droids are going to go anywhere. I think, like John said, it's very bittersweet because I don't know if we'll see Anthony Daniels play this role anymore. I think he could if he wanted to, but I don't think that will be the case unless they do, like John said, 10, 11, 12, which I hope they do. I hope this is not the end. They're going to push it as the end for the next year, which is going to be very like gut wrenching. But yeah, I don't think they're going anywhere.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I don't have much to add to that. I mean, I already kind of said what I did at the beginning, but R2-D2 is a great character, and I think he has the potential to show up in a lot of live action stuff if they want to slip him in. I don't necessarily think that that's a wrap, just kind of same as like Alden, you know, like we have this opportunity and it seems like maybe that's the end and they're not going to go down that route again, but it's like, but surely they will, right? You know, I mean, this character has to show up again. There's too much writing on that character just being gone forever. So, okay. So we normally do 3 pieces of news, but 4 pieces of news.
Yay,
this week,
bonus.
man, I'm telling you, there was a lot. So this is probably my favorite piece of news, in today's episode. The Master and Apprentice, by Claudia Gray got an excerpt from StarWars.com, and this was a scene where Qui-Gon gets an opportunity to do something that's going to change his life forever, as it says in the excerpt. And it talks a little bit about him and his relationship with Obi-Wan. It talks a little bit about him and his relationship with the Jedi Council. It talks about the state of the Jedi as a whole. It's a great excerpt, and it only takes 10 minutes to read it or something. But it's proof positive, in my opinion, that Claudia Gray has done it again and will deliver on this book. I am very, very excited because in that short 10 minutes, there's so much to talk about. Lacey, did you read the excerpt? Did you get a chance to check it out?
I read a little bit of it. I didn't get all the way through. Been kind of busy. But from what I read, I'm super excited. I said this months ago when they announced this book. It's just, first of all, Claudia Gray is one of, if not the best Star Wars author out right now. Make the Ben Solo book. So she did a wonderful job, and she's really good at like building character development and relationships between characters. So I'm not surprised she got this book. I think she's going to do a really good job, and I love Obi-Wan Kenobi, so I can't wait to see where this story goes and how it's going to relate to when I watch the movies back. Like, what am I going to notice in the book, and then rewatch the movies and say, yes, this is noticed in the book.
Yeah, so we talked last week about the Clone Wars leading up to Revenge of the Sith. How are we going to see things differently when we watch those episodes in the movies? I think this could be the same way. We watch this movie or read this book and then watch Phantom Menace. We're going to be like, oh my gosh, it was, maybe so much subtext that we didn't pick up because it didn't exist before. We didn't understand this aspect of the relationship. John, did you feel the same way, or is this book dead in the water?
Oh, come on. I love the layup questions,
or do you just hate everything?
It's like when they interview athletes after a game, after like a big win. They're like, how does it feel to win today? They're like, yeah, it feels horrible. What do you think it feels like? It feels great. No, I read the excerpt. I really liked it a lot. It surprised me. They offer Qui-Gon a seat at the table. So that's something I didn't think existed before the Phantom Menace. It felt like something that was on the horizon, but Qui-Gon kept doing things to screw up the opportunity. But they gave him the offer. Right?
Which is already something that you're like, wait a second.
Yeah. So that stood out to me. And then also, I'm very protective of Yoda as like a legacy character. And how people write Yoda, I feel like it's very off in the Clone Wars, and even the prequels is a little odd to me in how Yoda talks. And around the survivors, a perimeter create. It's like, what? Just stop it. But how she wrote Yoda here, I felt like I was listening to Yoda. I really liked
Empire
that a
Strikes
lot.
Back Yoda.
Yeah. It wasn't like a caricature of Yoda. So it was Yoda. I felt like he was there sitting in the chair. I felt like I was listening to Mace Windu. I felt like I was in the room. I really like that aspect of it. And I'd like to think that she's going to lay the chips of some things that when we do see the Phantom Menace again, we'll be able to dial it back and be like, oh, that's why Obi-Wan acts like this towards Qui-Gon and so forth. And then cherry on top of the sundae, Qui-Gon's, he might be the most Jedi ever in terms of like being compassionate, but thinking outwardly about others, as Anakin once described it. And he puts Obi-Wan before his career. He doesn't want to let Obi-Wan down. It immediately lays so much weight onto how I'm going to rewatch The Phantom Menace, especially Qui-Gon's death. Which also adds to Obi-Wan having to live up to that promise to train the boy after everything
and
Qui-Gon
throws his whole life
for
yeah.
him. Yeah.
Yeah,
which we know is going to be the core of the book. It's going to be like, oh, but that would be letting Obi-Wan down, and so I'm going to have to give up this offer, eventually. We know that because he's going to go ahead and say, I'm going to stick it out with this kid. We already know where that story's going.
Yeah.
Man, John, you nailed it, man. That's all the right points there. I didn't even think about the Yoda thing, but it was like, it was there. I felt it, but you put it into words, which is like everybody else in the room was just kind of like happy and like having a good time. Hey, you got offered day in, day out, new employee, whatever. But Yoda has been there for, 900 years or whatever, and he is the only one in the room that understands the severity of this changeover, right. And what this could potentially mean. He takes this offer very seriously because it means the Jedi, the head of the snake, if you will. Yeah, man, I think the in-depth angle of his understanding of not getting along with Obi-Wan, and it comes at an opportune time, which means the Jedi Council kind of thinks, we don't really think that whole Qui-Gon Obi-Wan thing is working either. So it actually kind of works out because when you take this gig, we'll just reassign him to somebody else because we all know that's not working. I don't know, man. I've found this from like every angle was massively interesting to me. The way he treated the old Jedi who was stepping down, the way the other Jedi were in the conversation, Yoda, that he was being offered that, and even though they had butted heads, diplomacy, a greater, more points of view, and it's like, is that even a good thing? Is that what we want to do? Right. Are you being forced into that? I don't know, man. It just I feel like I just read the whole book and I could talk about this one scene as if it was the entire novel. It's so good.
I'm actually really more excited about this book than I have been about a Star Wars novel in a long time. I love the behind the scenes type of books, but I'm really excited about it. And I just want to say I'm a simple man. Just trying
to make your way in the galaxy.
Just trying to understand characters and themes. That's all I'm trying to do.
Yeah, it's hard, sometimes when you have handicaps. But that's it for the news. Unless Lacey, you got any final thoughts on Master and Apprentice? Are you excited about the book? Of course you are, right? Yeah, I love Obi-Wan. He's a goat. He's the goat. He's the goat. Okay. All right. Well, that's all the news that we have time to talk about. So we're going to do a little segment that involves Chewbacca and hitting objects quickly when we're in a hurry. Okay, we're going to do this in Shriwook. Shriwook. Ready? Oh. 3, 2, 1. Punch it! Lacey doesn't speak Shriwook. She said punch it. All right, guys. Speaking of behind the scenes types of books, the Art of Rebels book is coming out this fall. I know James Bainey must be so excited about that. A look behind the curtain of the making of one of the
most impressive Star Wars animated features to date, series to date. So we look forward to seeing that come out this fall. Next, we have AtGames, is a gaming company that has just revealed they're going to be including old Star Wars games in their upcoming products. Now, what they're known for is doing these like combined console type games. So for like combining Genesis and all those sorts of things, they are going to be now obtaining rights to include old school Star Wars games in those upcoming products. So if you like old school games and easier Star Wars games than the crazy ones that are out today, like myself, keep your eye out for that. Now, this last piece of business here on the Scoundrels Rundown, my favorite piece of news on the Rundown in a while, the Senate. They are going to fit the entire Senate in McCormick Place in Chicago, folks. That's right, Ian McDiarmind, Sheevy Babes Palpatine, is coming to Star Wars Celebration once again. Once again, he is doing autographs. We're not sure if he's doing a panel, but he did one in Orlando where he talked a lot about the history of Palpatine, how he came up with the voice, the makeup, all that sort of stuff. So hopefully we see more of him aside from just autographs at Celebration. But either way, the Senate will be in the building. Very excited about that. As you guys know, I'm a big fan of his and that character. But that is it. That is the last story here in the Rundown. For all of our stories and articles from the Resistance Report to the Scoundrels Rundown, head to StarWarsNewsNet.com. Every day, stay up to date on all your Star Wars news so that also when you listen to us, you probably know just as much as we do, right? Okay. Give it take. Give it take. That's it for the Scoundrels Rundown. We're going to send it over to Lacey to run through your questions in Ask the Resistance. So, Chewie, go!
Goes out of here.
That's Chewie gargling when he's brushing his teeth in the morning.
No, that's that old terrible thing about Legends where they said that Wookiees just had a speech impediment, so some of them had better English. Yeah. Better.
How dare Disney make Star Wars horrible by getting rid of gems like that?
All right, Lacey.
Yeah, so that was weird.
You're weird.
It's time for Ask the Resistance. You guys have Star Wars questions. Hopefully we have some pretty good Star Wars answers.
Mm-hmm. I've been wondering, what are midichlorians?
So the first question comes from Ben Thompson at Crystal of Truth. And he asks, crazy possibility. After Luke faded out on Crait, we see him back on is it Ahch-To?
Ahch-To.
Is it Ahch-To?
Ahch-To.
Yeah, I don't know about that one.
Everyone says it differently. Ahch-To. Yeah. Potato. Ahch-To. And he fades away there too. Could he have been in a third location the whole time? So I'm going to go first. Ladies first. I think no. And Ben, I'm really sorry. I want this to be true because I love Luke and I'd love to see Luke come back. But sorry, homeboy, he's gone. And the reason because in the cut between Luke on Crait and Luke on Ahch-To, you see the force that he's putting forward. He's sweating. He's shaking. You can clearly see the effort he's putting into projecting himself. So that is, as a storyteller, is trying to tell you that there's a difference between the cool, calm, collected Luke you see on Crait and then the one you see in the physical world who is straining to make this happen. Second of all, when he fades away finally and Rey says, Luke's gone, I felt it. When he disappeared, I didn't feel sadness. I felt peace and purpose. That's her saying he's fading from the Force, that he's gone. Of course, we know he fades into the Force, but I don't think that he's coming back. I think he's gone, which is okay. It's hard. It's tough. We're going to miss him, but he'll be back as a Force ghost. Like, don't worry about it. James is going to hate it.
No, I think it's funny to think Luke is using like a VPN for his Force ghost.
He's Skyping in. They're like, are you in Dagobah? Yeah. And he's just like,
it says he's in London right now, and Luke's like, yeah, my Force ghosts like to watch their Netflix.
Luke is he's back at Tashi Station playing with power converters.
Yeah.
Like, what do you do? Like, it comes on too quick. He's like sitting there like, with the ship again.
Yeah, right.
Luke?
Yeah, Lacey, that's a good point because Leia said she felt it too. So it's like confirmation.
He's gone. Yeah, I felt it. Yeah.
Because people could have been like, well, Rey, she's a Mary Sue. She doesn't know. Like, then it's like then Rian Johnson's like, okay, I'll make sure his twin sister also confirms it.
Yeah, that's the other thing, Ben. So like I gave you 2 examples. There's like 3 or 4 things that like Rian Johnson's like, he's gone, guys. Yeah. He's out.
Even in the comic adaptation of that, I think they even like said something about he became one with the Force or something.
Right. And his cloak stays, but he disappears. Like that's another thing that they like blatantly are like, guys, he's gone. But Ben, it was a lovely question. I wish Luke wasn't gone, but he is. Second question. Jetta Rosewater, one of our patrons on Patreon. Thank you so much for being a part of the community. She asks, in the Mandalorian series, what factions or clans do you think we will see? We're going to go to our resident Mandalorian fan here on the podcast, James. What do you think?
Honestly, I don't really see there being many clans. I don't think they're going to see like Clan Ren or anything like that. The only one that I think would be possible is some sort of mention or possibly an appearance of Death Watch. That's the only thing, because I think that's the only one that really fans draw to. But I think that it's very likely that we could see new clans and new groups of Mandalorian warriors if they go that route. If it isn't just a Mandalorian out and about. But I feel like if that was the case, the show would be called A Mandalorian and not The Mandalorian. I feel like he is going to have some sort of family history that's going to tie him back to the legacy of Mandalore. So it is possible that we're going to see these factions and clans. I don't doubt it, but I likely, just like the aliens we talked about earlier in this episode, they tend to go, here's one old one and here's 10 new ones. And I think it's more likely that they will explore new clans and new factions than give us a lot of the old ones. They might just like throw in that one nugget, kind of like Rebels. Here's a little Death Watch, but we're going to focus on Clan Ren,
Right. No, that's a great answer. All right. Next, we have Dan Stadnick at Dan Stadnick.
Hey, Dan.
Hey.
Way to get your
nice. Dan asks.
That needs to be a sticker.
Way to get your handle.
Way to get your handle.
And it just should say like at like Joe 5783799.
Yeah.
He asks, this is back to Dan, we will get an announcement of a release date for the next live action theatrical Star Wars film before the release of 9? It's a we will. We will. Will we? No. Will we? I read it, we will. Will we get an announcement of a... I was making it so far on this episode, guys. I made it so far without messing up. So far. All right.
Is this...
Will we? Can I say...
Will of the Force?
No.
Oh.
It could be.
Is it Thursday? What day is it?
It could be. Will we get an announcement of a release date for the next live-action theatrical Star Wars film before the release of 9? John.
You better believe it, baby. We're getting some... You're getting some Benioff and Weiss. They're going to tell us at Celebration when the date of their first film will be released.
And the name, and a concept, and some characters.
Bane, a Star Wars trilogy, or Star Wars series of films.
Bane.
Knights of the Old Republic.
I'm thinking Batman.
Batman's Bane is coming to Star Wars to fight Darth Bane.
And of course they're announcing... Oh, wait, you're answering this question.
I believe in the rule of 2.
Yeah, right. I'm starting this thing and it's going to last forever. All right, so I think we will. I think we will because I think Disney is smart. They don't want to empty out the bag of goodies and leave us with nothing on the horizon film-wise after episode 9 comes out. Because after 9 comes out, it's going to be like, what's next? We have no idea. Oh no! Let's go.
Dave
on to
Chappelle.
It. Yeah.
Got any more of the Star Wars movies?
Yeah. Tastes just like it smells. Delicious. Yeah, I think we will. I think we're gonna find out. Maybe a celebration.
Is this the 5 o'clock free Star Wars movie giveaway?
But if not, we are gonna get something this year telling us maybe at D23. Who knows what's going on with the next movie? And I think it will be Benioff and Weiss, their first movie, 2021. Let's do it. Thanks for the question,
and
Dan.
Obi-Wan. You're welcome, Dan.
Oh, yeah. Kenobi movie.
All right. And last but not least is Sean Santarude at Rude called How Rude.
How wooed.
But not rude because he's a patron. So that's cool.
I know he's the best. I'm just saying that because it's a Full House joke.
Olsen twins.
No. Steph Tanner says that. Get
really?
it together.
Oh.
All right. Yes, definitely. Okay, so the question is, if R2-D2 and C-3PO survive the film, which they better, parenthesis, do you see one or both of them having their memory wiped? Oh, this is kind of sad. Like in Revenge of the Sith, to be used fresh again in future films? Let's all quickly answer this question.
Have mercy.
What do you think, Lacey?
Oh my God, what? No, I don't think they're going to wipe their memories. Oh. That's a no for me.
I don't either.
And I'm pretty sure that they don't. It's already been confirmed.
What?
What?
Yeah, it's in the from a certain point of view.
Wait, hold on now.
No, we're saying they're going to do it again. I'm saying
the end
no.
Of episode 9.
And from a certain point of view, it's R2-D2 telling the story to a Wills, like a writer of the Wills, like long after this has happened, like hundreds of years later.
So 3PO,
which is the classic story of George. They just did it.
3PO can get his
book.
Mind wiped still, though.
Yeah, I guess that's possible, but R2 definitely not. And I
okay,
don't
cool.
think
So you agree with me? I was like, does he agree with me or not?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just saying no, it's not going to happen because, I mean, we'll talk Thursday about the story group and where all this stuff's going. Mm-hmm. But I'm just saying, like, there is already something in canon that says that R2-D2 is narrating this story for somebody to be written down, which is that classic idea that George had thought of like years, like as written from the journal of the Wills and all that stuff. So, they basically made that canon from a certain point of view. So R2-D2 does not get his memory wiped. No.
Okay, cool. Well, there's your answer, Sean. If you guys want to be on the show, first of all, thank you for your questions. But if you want to be on the show next time and get a shout out, have me answer your question, maybe slaughter it, and then I'll reread it again 7 times. You can tweet us.
You can Twitter us.
You can tweet us at RBATSWNN. You can also use the hashtag AskTheResistance, and we will get you on the show, hopefully. So ask some questions about Star Wars. It could be anything Star Wars related. Mm-hmm. You know, maybe some Kylo questions.
There it is, pound sign.
Pound it.
Number.
But yeah, so I hope you guys have a wonderful week. Back to you, John.
That's nice. That's very nice.
You're so welcome.
Guys, thank you so much for listening. We had a good time. This is a fun episode. Hope you guys enjoyed it.
Wait. Start over. That was the most lackluster, like, we've had a wonderful time today.
I'm just getting it going. Guys, this was a crazy, crazy wild time. I want to thank you so much for joining us today. What happened?
What was that?
Did James do a headbanging? Is that what happened?
He's doing treats now. He's dropping treats for the late listeners.
You guys want some nuggets?
Make sure you guys are subscribed to us on iTunes, SoundCloud, Spotify, and
can't
YouTube.
See me.
If you're watching on YouTube, how are you, everybody? We've been hearing good things, so thank you so much. Make sure you leave a comment, interact with people. People are very busy on there. Like the videos, share it, send it to a friend, family, whoever. A lot of people don't know about us. That's up to you to change. So thank you.
Let's get positive videos trending for once on YouTube, guys.
I know. Please.
Let's make this happen.
I want to thank all of our patrons out there. Again, we have our commentary, which should be out soon for A New Hope. Thanks to you guys for helping us meet that, especially our generals, Adam Odell, Carmelo, Jeremy Shook, and Val Trichkoff. Thank you guys so much. If you are interested in what's going on with our Patreon and you just maybe want to check it out, see what's going on, head to patreon.com/resistance broadcast. Our tiers are starting at $2 a month for access to the page. Go check it out. See what you think. Guys, make sure you do head to StarWarsNewsNet.com for all of your latest news, reviews, editorials, information, and more every day to stay up to date and all the things, because it's going to be a really busy year in Star Wars. So that's the place to go every day. That's where the stories for us come from. Speaking of that, you guys can find me writing over there and also on Twitter at Johnny Hoey. James Arthur Bainey. How about you, sir?
You guys can find me on Twitter and Instagram at MyerChunks, and I'll tell you where you can't find Kylo Ren. Behind this box. I'm not behind. Go away.
Is he behind the mystery box?
Go away.
Lacey, when you're not hiding behind the box with Kylo Ren, where are you?
I'm just picturing right now, episode 9, they're on this big battlefield and Rey's there and she's like, come out, Kylo Ren. And she's just like, Kylo Ren? And she looks over and she just sees like his foot behind something. She's like, I can see you. You're right here. And he'll be like,
scary
no,
movie.
no, you can't.
With the killer hiding behind the couch.
You can't see me. And then Han Solo, just the ghost of Han Solo, kicks him. All right, guys, you can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Lacey Gillerin. I'm mostly on Twitter, to be honest, where I talk about Star Wars and post fun stuff like fan art and joke around. I had a really good Pablo joke last week. It's like prime.
Yeah, it was pretty good.
Twittering.
Yep.
Anyway, yeah, see you around, guys.
All right, guys.
You
Thanks
can't
again
see me.
so much for listening. Enjoy your weeks. And as always, we'll be right back here with you on Thursday, where we're going to dive into what the heck does the story group do anyway?
Matt Martin, I'm so sorry.
But we're going to talk about what fans think they do, what we think they do, what they probably really do, and what they will be doing. And, they haven't been around very long, so it's an interesting look inside an attempt to look inside of what's going on with the story group. So we're excited about that discussion. Until then, enjoy your weeks, and we'll see you then, right here on the Resistance broadcast. See you around, kids.
You can't see me.